Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got full rockin' my gun out there.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Oh, this hard goddamn work being this good.
One more again, see what I take on your front set, I swear.
You ain't my daddy, are you?
There's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What time is it? Game time.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Don't Be Blase podcast. We're coming to you live from the House of Pain, otherwise known as Snap Fitness, the Adelaide CBD. I'm your host, Speed Carolina, joined as always by my man, Steve Burrows.
Good morning, Spee.
Well, good morning.
It's a good morning. Well,
very, very formal.
Well, how often do we record in mornings?
Not really.
So
Probably do it more
I took
often.
my opportunity to say it.
I can smell a lot less beer on your breath in the morning. I didn't say they can't smell any. I can smell a lot less. Before we get started, I'd thank our sponsor, Larry and Ladd. Go see the boys at Region Arcade. Get yourself an awesome confidence and pretty sweet tunes. But for now, on with the show. Now, Steve.
Yeah.
This is a interesting topic you've brought to my attention, and I'm actually very keen to talk about it because I thought it was very good by you.
Okay.
Steve has a bit of an issue, it turns out, with poor English.
Poor English.
Run us through your poor English, Steve.
Well, I deliver a lot of it, but it's only a matter of time. It was very rare I get the opportunity to actually correct someone, or even just pretend I'm pretty clever. So I've been watching a lot of the old Raws and Nitros. I've gone all the way back, but this is
To the good old days.
To the good old days, the glory days. And I'm
Still having nitro parties for one?
Nitro, yeah, that's right. Best seat in the house, actually. It's really good. But pretty much what I do is I fast forward to the ends of the matches.
Yeah.
So I see the start of the match, I fast forward to the end because I'm just curious on how they wrapped it up in those days. And I also listen to the promos.
Yeah.
And this is something that's bothered me for years. And knowing you and knowing your handle on the English language, you're definitely a grammar corrector, whether it be a Facebook
Well,
or in
grammar
person.
corrector is, terrible, but I'll let you continue.
But I just want to know what your view is. I hear a lot of it. Americans say it, I think, more than Australians. But when I say if something doesn't bother me, and I'm trying to make a point, I'd say I couldn't care less. I could not care any less than what I care now.
Yeah.
Yet the Americans say, I could care less.
I like the accent, by the way.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Yeah,
Nailed
I've been
that.
working on that. So I just wanted to throw it to you,
Yeah?
grammar corrector. Or
God. Don't even know where to start with that.
the corrector, like Skeletor. I was want to know what's your views on this. Tell me, am I wrong? Am I right?
No, you're 100% correct in that situation.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the
corrector part or the
No, the other
couldn't
one.
care less
Yeah,
bit?
couldn't care less. Yeah, I could care less. It's like, well, yeah, you probably could then.
That's
it's just
right. I'm confused about that because they're like, I could care less. I'm like, well, if you could care less, then
yeah,
you could care less.
yeah.
Anyway,
It's almost potato. Like, 'cause I could care less, and I could care less about this. I mean, I already care very little, but I could care even less. So I get sort of where they're going from there. It's one of those sort of, just the fact that the Americans have taken English and basically turned it into American. They had their own language. They spell things incorrectly. They took the U out of everything, and they replaced S's with Z's. So they're not a real smart bunch to begin with. So there's I'm a Queen's English kind of guy. So yeah, so things like Australian English really annoys me too, and the people that say things like Pacific instead of specific,
yes,
and supposedly, and shouldn't of instead of shouldn't have.
Yeah,
that's how
that's a
bad.
better
That's
one.
how deep I go.
Yeah, I like that
so
one. Okay.
that's the one I couldn't. I can't handle. I always see those ones online, and just the whole there, and there. And the yours, and everyone goes, oh, it doesn't matter, don't be a grammar Nazi, but no one cares. Well,
someone cares.
Someone cares.
It's
Clearly.
me.
It's fucking me.
That's
So
right.
it's things like, literally no one cares. Well, that's not true, because literally I care. Like, it's just...
So you're wrong again.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that you'll never win, because, I mean, I almost like... So I've stopped so much with the correcting, because it's just pretty much got down to the same way that, I like to read the comments on things, but I don't tend to chime in because it's just that old Jay-Z line that my father told me don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who was who.
Yeah.
So if you're arguing with idiots, you are by proxy an idiot. So I tend to just leave the spazzes alone and just let them continue to lick windows on the train that you're on. So
Window lickers. I love that. You know, by the way, I say that a lot and people look at me and go, what does that mean? I'm like, I actually don't know, but I think what I mean. I get it, but
the kind of people that wear helmets in public, you know, and they're not on a push bike. You know, these are the kind of people we respond to.
Are they the dudes who sort of like wear like lycra pants, but then are doing chest sessions? Is that what
Oh,
is that a
yeah.
window licker?
I enjoy it. No, that's just someone that just doesn't have any legs. That's we know those sorts of guys that wear the compression pants and are doing chest and arms. It's like you're just trying to hide skinny legs, but you don't realise black tights making your legs look even slimmer. So
Speaking of big legs, I've got a video of Speed finally pulling out some burpees for us, guys. So I'll post it on later on Facebook
there's some
today.
good legs on those, dude.
They are big legs, some short shorts.
Yeah.
So I'll post that today, guys.
That's the thing, I don't need to wear the tights, but when you got pins like these, mate, you got to get them out often and early.
They are.
What else you got for us, Steve? You brought a few topics
Well,
today.
speaking of the gym,
Yeah.
and this is just a funny anecdote, and I'm sure you'll love it because you get to make fun of me. But when you're in the gym and you're feeling pretty good about yourself,
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a bit of a self-loather when it comes to body.
Oh, we all
body
are,
issues.
mate. Everyone always asks me, why do you work out so hard? Because I hate myself.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as you like yourself, then I guess that's when the progress stops, right? Because then you're like,
No, that's when you just go to Instagram and post photos
Ah,
repeatedly,
right,
even if you
yes.
look terrible. Just keep posting.
keep posting. Well, this is something, and look, and this is gonna be a quick one. That's what she said. This will be a quick one.
You're doing your own setups and punchlines today.
Yeah.
I think you're really better after just 2 beers, Steve. It's when you get to 6 that you really start to struggle.
Oh dear. So it was just with I was in the gym a little while ago, and once again it's a wrestling reference. There was a wrestler, very sad story, Chris Benoit. He was jacked.
Yeah.
He looked great.
Mm.
Pretty much. His arms were a bit short, I felt.
Well, he was short. He was only like 5
But his
7.
arms were short.
Yeah,
His arms looked like they came up to his waist.
It was like he had the T-Rex arms, but most of that was because his arms were pretty much the same thickness all the way down, so they just looked a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I'm a guy with gorilla arms, so yeah, no matter how
You got
thick
long
I made
arms.
my arms,
Yeah.
they still always looked ridiculously long compared to the rest of my body because I'm a Neanderthal. But he always looked like a little bit T-Rexy.
He did. Well, in the gym, I like to think, I've got a bit of Benoit happening
Physique,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit when I'm in the gym. Then I get home
Yeah.
and I jump in the shower, or obviously if I'm going to work, I'll wait till I get in the
Get
bath
to work,
and
yeah.
train or something. But then I look in the mirror, I'm like, nah, I'm more like a bit of a Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
But then I watched wrestling the other day and I saw an old guy called Kevin Sullivan, and I'm pretty sure if I hit the ring again,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to look like.
That's good though, because I mean, you've chosen good workers. I mean, not aesthetically pleasing.
No, and that's what's getting to me.
But a lot of that, I mean, to be honest with you, to defend you there, because you do have a, fairly decent muscles going on. And then, I'm not one to pump up Steve, but Steve can sneeze and put on 5 kilos of muscle when he wants to.
I'm actually crying at the moment. This is one of the first ever compliments you've ever had.
Oh,
mate. Single tear.
Don't worry, mate. It's coming with a slap. But all that is just the good old gym pump. Like
Yeah.
you're like, I'll be doing arm workouts and stuff like that, and you do like your shoulder workout, your chest is like pumped up. You're like, yeah, this is how I look all the time. Yeah, and then 20 minutes later, you're like, look at yourself in the shop window, like, where'd it go? What happened to my rippling physique?
Yeah.
It's just deflated again. It's just the gym pump, mate. It's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
It's a reason why guys come in sometimes on their lunch break from across the road at a Chibo that I won't mention any names, Paulie, and will pump up some arms and then go back to work. It's a common thing.
Put a bit of a
get
Bonds
a
t-shirt
little-
on.
Yeah, very tight. Yeah,
Very tight.
Shopping in the youth medium section. Just a real tight t-shirt sort of setup, but I mean it works for him.
Yeah.
You get the arms out, you get a bit of a pressure in the arms, and that looks good. Like you'll always feel a lot better mid-workout than you will obviously pre and post workout. It's just the nature of the beast. That's what everyone's always chasing. I mean, Arnold famously said the pump is like coming.
That's right. He did.
It's like going to having sex with a girl and coming. It's the greatest quote in the history of pumping iron. I recommend everyone go watch that one. But that's all that is, Steve.
Well, yeah,
You are looking good.
Well, I don't know. I'll post a picture, the 3 pictures of who I think I'll look like in the gym, who I probably look like, and then what I realistically look like. They're the 3 guys. I'll put them together. Have a bit
Now,
of
obviously, like strength-wise, we know you're doing around.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, athletically, Steve,
Yes.
how's that working for you at the moment?
Well, you see, Speed.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, let me tell you something. The last maybe 4 or 5 months now, I've been bulking. I've never done a proper, controlled, eating properly bulk. I've wanted to. There's a big guy at my work who I just, he's like he's very godly. Like, I always ask him lots of advice about weightlifting.
Oh, you're that guy.
He's he's like,
I hate that guy.
Fuck off, squirt.
Oh, yeah. Nothing more annoying, especially being a personal trainer, being in the fitness industry.
God forbid someone asks you a question.
Oh, but just like, okay, so do you talk about what you do for work outside of work all the time?
No.
And if people ask you questions,
I try to forget where I work. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So like everyone just knows that I'm a personal trainer, and it'd be like Sunday afternoon at like 5. I'm sitting at the pub having a beer, and everyone goes, "Hey, so if I do deadlifts like twice a week, and if I'm eating this, that's good, right?" So, fuck off, mate.
Well, yeah, then I'm probably that guy to this guy. Yeah. But he seems very nice. He's probably 53. Yeah. He's a monster. Yeah. Like, he's fucking huge. So I always ask him, and we just talked about, I talked to Spear about this stuff. I talked to a couple of other people about it, just about diet and bits and pieces. So I've really concentrated on my diet and eating a shitload of calories. Yeah. And I hit my 103 kilos. I was actually going for 105. I hit 103. Yeah. But during that time, I did very, very little cardio. Yeah. And I mean very little. I mean literally. I did no cardio. Yeah. I was just stacking on.
Just lifted heavy,
cracking
big.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of deadlifts, lots of heavy weights.
Just getting those 24-inch pythons.
Exactly. But what was funny is that now I'm actually cut my calories down. So now I'm actually going to give myself a few months where I've restricted my calories and see where I end up. Hopefully I'm going to end up better than I was 6 months ago.
A little bit closer to Benoit than Malenko.
Exactly. But what was funny about it is I had to run for the traffic lights the other day. Yeah. And my form for running was like I guess what the penguin from Batman would look like if it was running.
Somewhat of a waddle.
A bit of a waddle. And I was thinking, have I forgotten how to run? I was actually scared that people in the cars would have been like particularly pulling their phones out going, look at this motherfucker run.
To be honest with you, because I always say, let's make fun of people that are trying this and that in the gym or whatever. But I admit, I love watching spaz runners, especially people running for a bus. You know, you see, they do that run and they're kind of holding their bag and they don't want to fall over, but they don't want to flat sprint, but they still want to make their bus and they kind of give it that 3/4 run. And some people just you would definitely pick last in every sporting event in your entire life. It's almost like you didn't even get picked for the SEMA All-Stars.
That's still a bit raw, man. That's still a bit raw.
I'm just peeling the scab. But it's just... Yeah, I do enjoy, literally, I'm not the most athletic guy when it comes to running and stuff. I'm not a runner. I'm not built to run. Running hurts my body. But I still know how to. One day we did an indoor triathlon at the gym. So you do 5Ks on the bike, 2Ks on the rower, and 3Ks on the treadmill. And so everyone knows that I'm quite good at cycling and good at rowing. And then when I got to the running of the treadmills, the crew come going, I didn't know you knew how to run. Fucking everyone knows how to run. You know? But yeah, so I can run. I just choose not to. I'm like Seinfeld. I choose not to run.
I choose not to run.
And it just hurts my body. But at least I know I have, when I do take off to run, I have somewhat of an athletic gait. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do love the people that cross legs over or just look like they've never really run for anything in their life. It's just, I don't know.
Maybe they've just been bulking, sports. Yeah. Maybe they've just been bulking, and they've just been on a lifelong bulk or something, because that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so how did you feel did your heart rate go up too high when you're running across the lights? Were you winded at the end of it?
Sweating and shit. My white t-shirts were becoming more and more, yellow. And, it was crazy, man.
It's tough though, because when you lose your fitness, especially when you've held a fairly high level of fitness, it does become somewhat unsettling. Okay, Saturday night, you came to watch me wrestle. Now, I haven't...
Dude, you look jacked out there, by the way. I'll give you...
I'm an impressive physique.
You looked a bit Benoit-ish, with
that's nice. Except for long
knuckle dragon.
Long arm Benoit. But what do you think of the trunks, by the way? A little short shorts?
Dude, I love the trunks, because they actually were the old, more traditional jock-looking trunks, whereas Speed used to wear more like the short shorts ones, which he normally rocks around the gym in, if you want to see that. But yeah, I did. A bit Usain Bolt-ish with the Jamaican kind of colours.
We tried to go green and gold, and then she decided to throw black in there, and it didn't stop looking Australian, looked a little bit more Jamaican.
Jamaican,
but, it works. I'm Jamaican everyone crazy, apparently. Terrible. That gimmick is not going to have any legs. But I found I used to pride myself on my in-ring fitness and being able to keep up with anyone. My 35 years of age really caught up with me on Saturday.
Did it really?
And it was so much somewhat of a credit to Adam Brooks, because he said, look, we're going to do this, do that, do this, do that. And he goes, and I'm going to try to blow you up. So there was a particular spot, picked him up in the press slam, which I lovely stole from Steve. Dropped him in the corner, ran to the other corner, ran back with the clothesline.
That's right, yeah.
Went corner to corner again with the back elbow, corner to corner with a tackle. Now, the point of that was that he goes, all right, you run off for a fourth one, and then I'll follow you in and hit you in the other corner with a drop kick. Cool. Now, this is where the idea was great. The execution maybe wasn't quite where it needed to be. So I run across, clothesline, yep, back elbow, yep, tackle, yep, great. Standing there with my back to him, got him pinned in the corner, and he's in my ear going, run off, drop kick. And as I'm trying to look as cool as possible and get my breath back, I'm like, give me a minute. I realised I just don't have the wind that I used to have. It was somewhat scary in some parts of the match. I'm used to being in control. Like, I usually work a fairly slow style because I like to stay in control. But when I'm working with guys that are sort of, on my level, I like to go, try a few new things, go a little bit faster. But that was one where I realised, I don't have the wind that just the in-ring conditioning that I used to have. So I'm going to work on that.
Was that, halfway through the match? 2/3 maybe?
Oh, about 5 minutes in. Yeah.
Well, yeah, look, it was. I'll give a tip to the fans that the actual match was actually solid. I really enjoyed the start. Yep. I really enjoyed the start. They started. It was like I could see Spear had a lot of influence in the match, obviously, because it started off nice and slow. It started off some holds. I love that shit. I love the the build. The old.
You got to tell a story.
You do, and
it's like the fake taxi thing again. You got to ease your way in. You need to build a story, and then two guys. That's
right. That was hilarious. But yeah, it was good. It was worked. There are some holes, and then they sped it up a little bit, and then it actually had the crowd watching, and it wasn't the main event or anything. It was about third or fourth one. It was just before the break, I think, from memory. And I was a bit disappointed in the end. I thought. They had the crowd going for one direction, which way I thought it should have gone. And then they did a bit of a swerve and, it didn't going to work out. Should I give them spoilers in case they're going to buy them the Vimeo or whatever?
It comes out on YouTube for free. So,
okay. So then, so Spee's old mate, the difference, or as I call Stitch Face.
Stitch Face.
The old Stitch Up. If you want to listen to an old episode where they stitch me up. But yeah, then he gets involved in the end, and it was like, once I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go. Speed's getting screwed.
For a man who's been watching a lot of old Nitro, to be upset by a run-in finish seems a bit odd.
Yeah, I know, but I was sort of like, I was involved in the match in as far as I sort of like committed to the the believability, and I felt like just listening to the audience around me, I felt the right thing to happen here is Speed to get the win, and he's been around back in the company for maybe 6-12 months now, so it's a big win for him.
So you were really upset with Tyler's performance to come in and ruin the match?
Yeah, well, I've never really been happy with any of Tyler's performances, to be honest, over the years. That one, I was a bit like, that was disappointing. I wasn't happy with that.
Yeah.
But,
so you would come probably next show to watch me kick the crap out of the guy.
Are you fighting Tyler next show? Oh, really?
Ruined my match, so I'm getting after him.
Yeah. Well,
so you see how that kind of works there,
mate,
Steve?
When's that one?
October 13th.
Yeah, I'm doing my hair that night, man. We'll see. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the wrestling the last couple of times I've gone. Yeah. So yeah.
Admittly, you were a few, couple of shandies deep by the time I got to you.
Yeah, I was. It was a long night actually. It was a good night as well. So. If you haven't been, guys, check it out. The next one, October 13th.
Definitely, we'll do some more plugs for Riot City Wrestling. I reckon we're onto a bit of a winner there. But no, there's really not much more to talk about with the wrestling. I do need to get my fitness up. Although now I'm wrestling Tyler, probably don't need to too much. I don't think he's much fitter than I am. So I think we can sort of slow that. That one might be a really slow paced match compared to the last one it's been into. But we've talked about another man that's slowed down so much so that he's retired. Yeah. Now, Steve. You wanted to bring to my attention one of probably my favourite players, almost the Stevie J of the NBA. And I know you screw your face up because you just don't like Stevie J, but think about the styles very similar. We're talking about Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, he recently retired, and he had such a great career. And the reason, I knew Speed liked him. And like we've said in the past, we tag each other a lot in Facebook, about maybe some sports stories, some hip-hop stories, whatever. And there was one post I really took exception to, and I had to tag Speed in it. And I think Speed may have misinterpreted my intentions on it originally, but
Took it as a personal
he
affront.
took it as personal. But all I was trying to say is because this will go back to many of our previous arguments, is this one douchebag had highlighted Manu's career about what he hadn't done.
Yeah.
You know, he'd never scored 20 points a game in a career.
Average, yeah.
He'd never, he'd never become an all-star, which I was actually surprised about. Actually.
That one did surprise me
Yeah,
too.
I thought he would have been. And so on and so forth. There was about 8 highlights, and they were like, oh, you know, this guy's a Hall of Famer, yada, yada, yada. And I really did take exception of it because if you're a basketball fan, and a proper basketball fan, not a, you know, just a Johnny come lately kind of guy, you know, Manu Ginobili, who would have won, 3, 4, 5, was he part of all those rings?
4 rings. He's got 4.
4.
Yeah.
Timmy Duncan won 5, of course,
Yeah.
because he won earlier. That's right.
Yeah.
So he won 4 rings. He was, you know, if he hadn't won it several times, he would have been the 6th man of the year.
Yep.
He was the ultimate teammate. He was so clutch.
Yeah.
At one point, he was as clutch as, you know, people like talk about Kobe Bryant. He was as clutch as Kobe when it came down to things.
But not just like as clutch as Kobe on the shooting end. Like, I mean, you think about there's a couple of years ago in a playoff game against the Rockets, he came up big defensively. You know, he came up and did came up from behind Harden and blocked him for like his 3-point attempt to win the game. You know, like he was always the guy in the right spot at the right time, and everyone goes, "Oh, just lucky." No, there's no luck to that. You know, the guy had genuine talent and a genuine feel for the game, and he had that sort of almost like a. I mean, one thing that annoys me. Oh, he introduced the Euro strip. He's fucking South American.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that always annoyed me. I think because
That's
Americans
right.
just go, "Oh, your name has too many vowels. You must be from Europe." It's like, no, he's from
definitely
South
sounds
American.
Italian.
But he
I
had
guess.
that sort of flair for basketball that you see Brazilian players have for soccer, and I just love the way he went about it. You know, like I know you don't like Stevie J, but he had that sort of thing of, you know, like he was either going to do something that was amazing, it was going to come off, or, you know, you knew he had the right idea, but it was like a horrible boneheaded error, but you kind of forgave it because there was more brilliance than there was errors, you know, and so you forgave some of the, you know, if he tried some of those behind the back passes, any other coach would have just pulled their hair out, but when it's Manu, you kind of go, he's going to get it, you know, 8 out of 10 times, so you're just going to back him.
Oh, he was a gun. He was a gun. And like I said, I just wanted to reiterate that, you know, like, and this will go back to our Mick LeBron stories and our Melo stories. And really, only reason I really brought this up, other than quick shout out to Manu, is that contextual stats.
Yes.
And I've heard this comment recently, context is king.
Yes.
And I love it. So if you hear me saying that from now on,
Yeah.
I've stolen it totally.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not my shit, I'm not going to lie. But context is king. And Manu's career was brilliant, regardless of what some douchebag had to say about it. So that's what I really want to say.
No, because you're right. If you can tear apart the stats, you know, you can make stats. That's the thing. Like everyone's, you know, that's why we like to throw out our facts don't matter, because
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
you know your stats, you can make stats look however you want them to look. And
Exactly.
ESPN are sort of the kings of that. They love doing I mean, I think I saw it. We always joke about it, but during like the NBA playoffs, it was like, oh, no one's ever scored more points in a third quarter of a game 6 on a Thursday than LeBron did this week. You know, it's like, oh, fucking, come on now. Like, how much are we going to narrow these stats down to make sure that you win an argument?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm all for, you know, twisting the narrative to win an argument, but if you start bringing these ridiculous numbers into play, it's just getting stupid.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say. Shout out to Manu. Congratulations on the career.
So you're saying, Manu's calling it a day.
Yeah.
But you've seen that maybe someone's making a comeback, like in the land of television.
Yeah, definitely. I heard this. I might have heard this about a week or two ago now. I heard that there's 4 or 5 TV shows that are coming back. Apparently, you know, they've definitely run out of their ideas now in TV land over in the States, and they're coming. What can we come up? What can we bring back? And the one that they've talked about, the number one on this list of 5 that they talked about, was Frasier.
Really?
Frasier. Now, I'm pretty sure my boy Benny loves Frasier.
Yeah,
and
sounds like a Benny show.
Yeah, and Brett hates Frasier.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm very indifferent. I thought, you know, it might have had its moments, and, you know, he was a good Cheers character, but, you know.
See, Frasier to me was, I don't know what to compare it to, but it's one of those ones where if it's on, I'm just going to go, if there's nothing else on, like, you know, you flick the channel, you go, all right, Frasier was there, and you flick around a few more channels, you're like, fuck, I'll just go back to Frasier. It's not, like, I can watch it, but as far as, like, you know, must-see TV, or, like, if it comes on, I'm like, ooh, I'm staying right here. I'm like, it's not that. Like, Cheers, if it's on, I'm like, ooh, let's stop, watch Cheers. You know, but if that one is like, if there's nothing else, I'm on Frasier. So, I'm indifferent. I'm the same as you.
Yeah. So, my question to you is, Spee, if you could bring back TV shows, if you could, have any TV shows, it might be your favourite show, it might be just what would it be like today, would you bring back, what would you bring back? Maybe 2 or 3.
Other than Nitro?
Other than Nitro.
Because I wouldn't mind bringing back Nitro.
Oh,
I did
Nitro would be
Nitro.
good.
Even bad Nitro was still good.
Oh,
Nitro.
yeah, it was still good Nitro.
Let's see. TV shows.
Yeah.
You've kind of put me on spot here. There's not a lot that I've really watched. You know, I mean, like, the things that I've watched that I really loved, you know, ended the right way. Like, I was a huge fan of The Office.
Oh, yeah.
The UK Office.
Of course.
Because, like, it was just brilliant. It was really well told story. Same as The Extras.
Yes.
Once again, just Ricky Gervais stuff. I like the fact that he only does the 2 series and the Christmas special.
Yep.
You know, and like that works for me. And so, like, as much as I'd love to see them come back, and essentially they did with the US office and that sort of stuff, but then, like, you never want to see it drag out too long. That's why I'm like, not in favour of bringing things back, because if they've had their time, they've had their shine, just let them sit there and be great and be reflected upon nicely. But in saying that, I could have really done with a few more years of The Sopranos. I was a huge Sopranos fan, and it ended well, you know what I mean? Like, it did go on for a very long time, but it ended so well, and it was such a great show. So Sopranos is probably one.
You know, I've not seen 1 minute of Sopranos.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's one of those things that I've always wanted to, and I know it's such a huge time commitment. And once I miss the start, you know, like anything, I'll always wait till it's wrapped up, then I'll try to go back and watch it. But yeah, I've never watched Sopranos. It's definitely on my list.
No, definitely need to get on Sopranos. That was brilliant. I really enjoyed The Wire. HBO for a while just had, like, TV, like, lockdown. They were very, very special. I really enjoyed Breaking Bad, but once again, that wrapped up right about where it should have.
Yep.
So once again, it's like, and if you want sort of a callback to that, you just watch Better Call Saul.
Have you watched Better Call Saul,
I've seen
man?
2 episodes, so yeah, I don't have, like I said, don't have the internet at home, don't watch a lot of TV anymore, so I don't have time to really go back and watch these sorts of things. But yeah, I know they are huge time commitments.
Good, Better Call Saul.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to be good because it was exactly the same as, wasn't it?
Yes.
But the one show that they are sort of bringing back, but it's different, but it's the same, is True Detective. Now, did you ever watch True Detective?
No.
All right, so first season of True Detective is brilliant. It's set in Louisiana.
Yep.
It's Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson as cops.
Okay.
And they're investigating
A TV show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Investigating a murder based around a cult. And it sort of flashes, the whole season just flashes between modern day, they're being interviewed about it, and from I think it's like 7 or 8 years earlier when they were actually investigating it. So it just keeps flipping back and forth. And it's just brilliant TV.
Wow.
Really well told stories. It's only 1 season. It's 10 episodes.
Where did you get this from?
I bought it on Dodgy Barley DVD. But it was an HBO show, so I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Okay.
Like, download it, you know, HBO Go,
I
whatever
never
it is.
even have heard of it.
It is amazing. But it's one of those things where they made a 2nd season. Now, the problem is, it's like any sort of genius writing or anything that's really well written or really well done. It usually takes a lot of time to craft. You know, and like as a poor example, Flight of the Conchords. You know Flight of the Conchords?
Yep.
Yeah, comedy songs, CDs. They crafted all those songs they used for years. You know, in like maybe 7 years worth of act. You know, and they crafted that into a TV show where they put 2 or 3 songs, or probably 2 songs in every episode to tie in with the story. It was a comedy. Great, hilarious, really well, because they spent time crafting it. Within a year, they went, oh, can you do us another season? And they just didn't have the material, and you could feel that it felt rushed. It was along the same vein, but it hadn't been tried and tested and had that time to really, you know, you can't rush art without sounding like a real wanker.
Yeah.
But the same thing happened with True Detective. They crafted this series. Apparently, it took like 3 years to write, and it was brilliant. There's a scene where, like, that, it's not really spoilers, but there's a scene where Matthew McConaughey has to sort of go back into undercover with a bikie gang in order to do this sort of bad drug deal where they're just basically ripping off this house in the ghetto, and then him and one of the guys have to try to escape. Now, the camera stays on his shoulder the whole time, and he, you know, obviously to be back with the group, he's on drugs. So, but the whole scene has like an intensity to it, much like the scene in the Goodfellas where Ray Liotta's just railed out on coke, and you feel like you're railed out on coke watching it. The scene has a very similar feel to it, and the camera's just following him around, like literally sits on his shoulder, and he's going through all this chaos and mayhem and stuff like that, and they're trying to get out, and you can hear people coming in the distance. It's like really intense scene. It was just brilliant TV. Now, within a year, they tried to bring out a 2nd series. Now, the cast was good. It was Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell, who are, I know you're not a fan of Vince Vaughn, but I like him. And
does he do the same character?
No, because it's serious. It's a very serious show.
So he has a bit of range.
He has a bit of range.
About time.
It was Colin Farrell as well, who I'm a big fan of.
Oh, yeah.
And Rachel McAdams.
Okay, yep.
So good cast.
That's killer.
But they'd only spent a year crafting the story, so within about 3 episodes, you could just see it falls to shit because they've just tried to rush. You know what I mean? So it's not as well written. It's not as good, well told story. It's just almost like they start to throw twists and plot twists in there just because they feel like they needed to. Oh, this is what we did about this time last time. But like, no, last time the arc followed the correct arc. Now you're just throwing it in there for shits and giggles. So it lost a lot of momentum. So the second season, like as well regarded as the first season is, the second season is just panned by everybody.
Nice.
Now, it's been a good 4 or 5 year hiatus.
Yep.
And they're bringing out a season 3.
Oh, okay.
So
new cast?
Yeah, new cast.
Yep.
It's only the one detective this time. But it looks amazing.
Excellent.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So that's going to come out, I think, actually end of the month or something. So that's going to be on HBO. So that's probably a show that I'm very excited about. That's one that's actually getting a comeback, and I'll be able to enjoy it, even though it's a different story. Once again, set in different place, different actors, but it's that same style. So I'm looking forward to that.
Sweet. Wow, I was going to go for a couple comedies, actually, as the real cheekies as well.
Yeah.
One show I really, really loved, and it finished really badly, and that's kind of why I'd love for it to come back and give us a bit more. And it's not Roseanne, it was Scrubs.
Yeah.
I watched 8 quality season Scrubs, and then they brought out like a 9th season, and it was like they went out of the hospital into like a med school thing.
Yeah.
But a couple of the characters came back. The janitor didn't come back.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. It's a whole collective. You know?
Yeah, that's right. The whole team has to come back. So there's that one.
It's like anytime they try to do a spin-off of like you couldn't do a spin-off of Seinfeld because it wasn't like, okay, Jerry's funny, George is funny, Elaine's funny, Kramer's funny. Any of those individually, not that great. It was the collective that made it funny.
Kind of like Joey.
Yeah,
when they split up from Friends,
yeah,
and they try to go to LA.
You can't, like I said, you can't take away like you've got to have all the characters working together. Otherwise, it's like, I mean, just cutting back to the wrestling thing. There's like one of the things I tried to explain to a couple of young lads the other day. You can't all be the character. You know, like we had a couple of guys that are really good characters. To tag match against 2 other guys, and they wanted to come up with a new character. I went, no. There's an art in being the straight man. And you need to have a good, solid straight man in order to have the characters shine. Obviously the character with the personality is obviously going to get the immediate shine, but the people watching will always come back for the straight man. Like that was once you go back to the Seinfeld thing again. Jerry was very much the straight man, even though he had his jokes and his funny thing. But what's the name? Kramer was so quirky, and George was so neurotic and stuff like that. It's like if he's not somewhat straight, and it doesn't work. And the same thing with the Scrubs. I didn't watch a lot of it. Yeah. But that janitor character is pretty strong.
Oh, he was funny.
And you take him out, and then you're sort of reaching for those gags.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you brought up Seinfeld, because that was my second one, Seinfeld. The reason I like to see Seinfeld is because I think it's the scenario of Seinfeld, the story of Seinfeld, is timeless.
Yeah.
It doesn't... you could put them in today, and it's the same thing. Jerry's living his life, George is living his life, and so on. And I know there's actually a Twitter account, where they talk...
Modern Seinfeld,
Seinfeld. And people just throw out, like, the sort of like, what would Seinfeld do today? In
modern scenarios, with the classic humour.
And it's brilliant. And honestly, probably could happen. Yeah. I don't know if Kramer's doing anything. I don't think he's done much since the racist
I don't think he's allowed back in, but anyway.
George, I haven't seen Costanza in ages, Jerry Seinfeld, I watched that Comedians in Car Coffee fucking show.
Yep.
That's okay. Elaine has been done a handful of sitcoms.
Yep.
Some better.
She's still working well. That Veep show apparently wins a lot of awards, so she's doing well there.
Right, Newman, all those guys. There's all those callback characters that they could call. I'm just, I think that would be a great show. 20 years after it's wrapped up, you could still go again.
But it's one of those things that, like, I think Jerry almost now sees that as his sort of legacy, like Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais won't touch The Office again. And he won't touch any of the shows he's made.
Of course.
Plus the fact that, like Ricky Gervais, Jerry still makes money hand over fist
off
those old episodes.
Yeah.
So why taint it? Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things. It's almost like you don't like
Well,
the
don't
same way
train
that
that.
Eddie Murphy never came back to stand up.
Yeah.
because he left a legacy with 2 great stand up specials and never went back to it. Never went back to it.
I know.
Because he's just like, nope, I left on such a high. I can come back and it's only going to be disappointing.
Matt, and it would be disappointing.
It's such because it's not only were the shows great and it was hilarious, but now it's like any story. It's now built up and built up and built up, and the legend of it is bigger than the actual story of it. So then, it's somewhat like the Bible, where you can just make up shit, and the longer you leave it, the more made up sounds believable. It's now become like that. So if they did touch it, I could only see it being tainted. And plus, people are so fucking negative these days.
Oh, yeah.
Why put it out there when you know 90% of the people are just going to shit on it just to be fucking trolls?
Of course.
Yeah.
I accept that. But I mean, it'd be great for a challenge for them, because actually one thing I've realised when I was watching Comedians in Cars, Seinfeld, well, I think he's got a good comedic brain. He's not funny off the cuff stuff though. He really isn't, or not that funny. But I just would like to see it as a challenge. Maybe if it's just like a special, like a 1-show special, just give it to us.
Why don't we get a petition signed? Like
like
trying to get Steve onto Survivor. Let's
That
see
went
if
so well.
Steve really wants Seinfeld to come back.
Just quickly, give us a quick update on Bachelor, and are you still watching that shit? Or
Bachelor's about to introduce some surprise or some the new entrants.
New entries.
That's always fun.
Okay, Survivor.
And Survivor, actually, there was a bit of a swerve last night. One of those good old fashioned swerve. And like one because they've now become the one tribe.
Yeah,
it's down to that stage.
The merge.
Yeah, the merge, and then this one girl, she was an Olympic skier.
The one that
Lydia,
the dude with no legs under the bus.
Yeah,
that one.
But now
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.